So welcome to the painting tutorial. For this we're going to need our brushes. In this kit you'll have your regular base coating brush, this general brush, and then your detail brush. For this first thing we are only going to need this large brush here, the base coating brush. So to start out, have a small cup of water, just that much water. You don't want a lot because it spills. It won't make a huge mess if you only use a little bit of water. You can use a regular mug as long as you remember to wash it afterwards. I'm using a disposable cup because I share a kitchen with my coworkers and I don't want them accidentally drinking my paint water. So to start with, I'm going to take out our snake. I cooked mine in 2 pieces as opposed to 1, just to be a little bit easier for me to paint. You're going to take out your paint bottles, and then it's going to depend on what color you want your snake. I'm just going to do mine green. So you're going to uncap your paint, give it a shake, and give it a squeeze. It's your first time using it, it comes out a little slow. Only do a little bit to start with because this goes a lot further than you think it will on polymer clay because it doesn't get absorbed like it does on paper or in your canvas. So I want green, so I'm going to add a little bit of yellow. Whoops, that may be too much yellow. We'll find out. So just take your brush and just kind of mix it gently. I'm going to do a little bit of yellow into there. That's the easiest way to do it. Just scooch a little bit over there at a time until you get the color you want. Because it's always easier to add more color than to take it away if you've added too much of something. She said, immediately doing that. Just get your brush good and loaded up. And test it on here. I'm using a paper plate. What works really well is the lid of a Tupperware container, if you've got those, or a sandwich container or something, because you can paint on the top of the lid. When you're done, put it in the dishwasher to wash it, and it's good to go next time as opposed to having to throw something out. So get your brush good and loaded up. Do a couple tests to make sure it comes out the way you want, and then start with the flattest side of your project. The underside's the best because if you don't like it, you can go back and just basically do dabs like that. It looks patchy on here, but when you do it on here, it builds up. So the first couple layers are going to be very thin, but as you dab it, you see it picks it up pretty quick. And then just work your way around. Oops, my face. Do my face while I'm here. So it's gonna be a little bumpy when you do it. See, I'll see if I can get that focused. A little textured. That will smooth out as you go, because what we're doing right now is called base coating. We're just putting a base layer of color down and letting it dry so that when we go to paint on here again, the paint is then going to stick to the dried paint rather than on the clay. And we'll be able to have a nice thick layer of paint. And because it's just a base coat, it doesn't have to be perfect. You're just going to dab it on. You're still going to be able to see some of the regular color through the first time you do this. And you could do both sides at once, the front and the back, or wait till one side's dry. And so there is the first coat. Get up here. So it's a little thin. You can still see the pink through. But we're going to let this dry. Come back, and then we're going to add a second layer, and you'll see how it all comes together. All right, we're back. Our snake is dry. I've mixed up some fresh green paint, and now we're going to move on to this mid-size brush and just do a tiny little dip just so you get the edges. Even that's a little too much. So you want it flat on there, not in a bubble. And then you're just going to gently swipe over the top. And you'll notice now that the base coat is dry. This is going on much smoother and thicker. Now this has accidentally filled up my eye hole. It's easy enough to just wash that out. Just kind of dip the corner of your brush in there and get the excess paint out. And just get a nice smooth coat all over your little snack friend. And you'll see this goes on real smooth. It's not patchy like the base coat layer because we've already got a good layer of paint going. So now this just smooths over. Try and get in the nooks and crannies the best you can. With the curves, it's a little harder, like right in here between the tail. I can fit my brush in, but you may not be able to fit yours, and that's fine. And then just get all the way up to the top. Just hold it in place. And you're gonna let this dry again. If you like the way this looks once it's dry, you don't have to do any more layers of the green. You can move on to the next step. But if you don't like the way your colors come out, just keep putting more light coats on till you get the level of smoothness and the darkness of the color you want. And then you can also just do a light sweep around here to get your fingerprints off after you've done it. So once this is dry and you get the level of color on the snake body you want, come on back and I'll show you how to do all the details. All right, now that your snake is the color you want it to be, it's time to put on some detail. I'm going to make some little scales. You can pick any color you want for this. I'm going with yellow since I had a lot of that left over. And you just take the larger ball on the end and just dip the very tip in like that, and then do a couple of test dots. So it looks like that. Then you can start with the back till you get the hang of it. So by the time you get to the front, you're a pro. Ooh, I did not have enough yellow on there. So just do a light press and you got a dot. And just keep doing this wherever you want a set of spots. Well, that's a little big, but that's okay. Can be as big or as small as you want. All right, and what I like to do, is to make them look a little bit more like scales, is I take, this is the smallest dotting tool. It's almost a needle, and just do the tippy tip here, and then go back to where you've done your dots And just put one or two little small accent dots around it like that. Put this flat for these ones. Just a couple little extra spots here and there. I like the style because it makes it a little bit cartoony. But it's also a good start if you put 3 spots on there instead of 2. Then it looks like a paw print, which can come in handy for other projects down the line. And you don't have to decorate your snake this way. If you want to paint different scales on, you can. If you don't want spots and just want plain green, you can do that too. And let that dry. And in the meantime, you can do the face. Find the dotting tool you used to make the eyes to start with. That makes it a little bit easier. And then go a size down. And that way, when you stick it in there, it won't fill up the whole eye, but it will get the whole base. And it lowers your chance of making a mess and getting too much paint on there. If you do accidentally get on too much paint, which is what I did here, you can just take a corner of paper towel that's a little damp and just gently wipe it away. That's made it a bit scary, but oh, that made a bigger mess. That's all right. It's all fixable. There we go. And then do the same thing with the nostrils. Go a size down from the tool you used to make your nostrils, and then just pop it right in there. You can do some eyebrows too if you like that. Mine's a little grumpy. And once these are dry, you can reattach your head and neck, or if you kept it solid like I did with this test one, it should be good to go. You can also roll out a little bit more clay, paint it pink, and just stick it in there for a tongue and use a little bit of glue for that. Hot glue works really well, or epoxy as opposed to Elmer's glue, just because it doesn't dry fast enough and your tongue falls out. And I will see you at the next tutorial.